After Henry, I had post natal depression, which hit me pretty hard. So that was definitely a challenge. Having a really good network of people around me, my GC, so my growth group, was just amazing, and the mothers group, because they kind of knew where I was coming from. I really struggled with that because I'm a teacher, and I thought before I had children and before I was a stepmom that I would have a natural way with kids. I've loved kids ever since I was little, and just thought it would be a lot easier than it was. And I thought things would come a lot more naturally. So having depression after Henry really kind of shook that up. And I was so fortunate to be amongst people who would pray for me when I didn't feel like I could pray for myself. People who could encourage me when I felt like I was just the biggest failure. And a husband who would pray over me while I wept and would help out, or not even help out. He really was quite phenomenal with both of our boys. You know, waking up at night when I just couldn't get out of bed. So knowing that, having that reminder that God is in control was really important, and knowing that people were able to just kind of cover me in prayer while I walked through that was pretty amazing.
I think the biggest challenge that I've had as I've had kids and as they're growing up has been to spend time with Heath. Being a mum has its challenges within itself, but by the end of the day, especially when I'm working as well, I come home, I'm exhausted, I spend time with the kids, especially when they were younger, would read stories, they'd fall asleep, and I'd often fall asleep next to them while I'm saying goodnight to them. I think that has been probably the biggest struggle for me. Now that they're getting older, I feel as though I'm finally getting that time back with Heath, and we're finally being able to do things a lot more together without the kids. So there is an end in sight, but I do have to admit that it has been very difficult over the years. I guess one thing being a Christian hasn't done is it hasn't helped with the tiredness and the frustration sometimes, but it has given me the ability to set my eyes on God and to look at Him for guidance, and to be able to know that He's just looking after the kids. So the times when I know I can let go of them and trust them in His care and trust them in His hands.
I think one of the biggest challenges for me currently is just the sort of chaos and mess of life in just the everyday things. So just trying to get 4 kids out the door for school, or then the busyness in the afternoon when they come home. And just dealing with that constantness, and my own capacity and patience within that is not always awesome. And I guess the challenge for me is probably about how I behave in those moments when everybody's under stress, but also about the bigger picture. So how have we got ourselves to the point where everybody is under stress, and is there things that we could change that could limit that? So, you know, what is my priorities? And I guess this is where being a Christian comes in that my priorities for my kids are that they know Jesus, that they're connected to their church family, that we as a family spend time with them, with God. And so if those things aren't happening because we're too busy elsewhere, well then things need to change. And if we're so stressed at each other because there's too much other stuff going on, well then that also needs to change. And so I think for me it's just constantly trying to bring myself back to that and going, if we're so stressed and chaotic that we can't love each other well, we can't be patient with one another, we can't spend time with God together, then something needs to change. And so that's my challenge. It's my ongoing challenge. It's something I'm needing to constantly wrestle with and pull myself and our family back to. And I don't always get it right. That's why it's my challenge.